I thank God for allowing me to serve in His vineyard. By His grace, the treasury team has safeguarded the funds in the storehouse through sound and responsible financial governance, as per the policies of the church. Through the faithfulness of our members, God has provided resources for mission. There has been many challenges and storms, but we have managed to sail through by God's grace. The year 2020 started on a promising note, but suddenly we were locked down. Through the blessings of technology, the church was able to be digitally connected and the work continued despite the lockdown. I want to thank the church members for their continued support during this time. The SAU's financial situation and sub-organizations were not immune from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Most churches throughout the SAU were closed, and many lives and jobs were lost. As a support function of this church, the treasury team has dedicated themselves to creating an enabling environment to facilitate the church's core business, which is mission. This union experienced a decline in economic growth and disposable income during this term, worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, God has taken care of His church and brought us safely through.
Household debt has increased, where in 2022, out of every rand earned, 76% goes to service debt, leaving 26 cents available for living expenses. From that 26 cents, offerings and tithes must still be returned. The weakening rand has posed a major challenge as prices have escalated. Yet despite all these challenges, God continues to bless His church.
Be excited because great things are going to happen. God bless you.
January to March 2020 was characterized by optimism, with financial prospects for the church looking bright. Then the unexpected happened, a national lockdown on 27 March 2020. The economic and socio-economic pressures on church members and leaders were felt across the SAU.
Around the world that have imposed nationwide lockdowns to curb the spread of the deadly coronavirus. By last night, the country's infection stood at...
The church was thrust into the digitization of management. Daily operations were dominated by video conferencing and electronic data interchange. Even financial audits were conducted off-site using electronic portals. Despite this, there have been positive developments. Projects were funded supporting the church's core business. As a result, church growth continued, albeit at a slower pace. However, this was not reflected in tithe and free will offering despite membership growth. Membership were experiencing hardship, struggling to survive in the depression-like environment. With a negative growth rate compounded by unemployment, the organization had to rely on financing tithe expenditure from non-tithe income. Thus, there was limited investment. Rental income and reserves were used to support cash flow and working capital. The union benefited from the National Disaster Temporary Employer-Employee Relief Scheme, helping to compensate for some of the lost income. Staff had to be kept motivated and remunerated, with drastic cost containment measures being put in place and increased efficiency being promoted. Yet despite these measures, the SAU and its sub-organizations struggled to make ends meet. However, God has continued to sustain His work. The union funded various projects from excess working capital, evangelism projects, congresses, workers' meetings, bursaries, and stewardship seminars totaling close to 20 million rand. An appropriation was received from the 13th Sabbath from the GC World Mission offering, which we matched with equal funding to finance the Riverside School project. There has been a considerable decline in tithes and offerings, with a slowdown in membership growth compounding the situation. The average offerings given by each member for 2019 was 3.61 Rand per week. If this increased to 5 Rand, it would mean that the total offering for the SAU would have increased from 35 million Rand to almost 50 million Rand. By 2020, the offering per capita had dropped to 2.63 Rand per member. The offerings compared to tithe show that much education is needed. Offering is our primary non-tithe source of income, which means we cannot fund some of our capital projects due to reduced offering. When we look at 2020, we can see that offering is 7.53% of tithe, with average offering to the tithe from 2016 to 2020 being 11.35%. There has been a decline in growth in mission offering, except for 2018, which increased by 77%. From December 2019 to December 2020, this decline has been 26.46%, due partly to COVID-19, but also following the trend which has been coming on for several years. Along with offerings, tithe has also shown an alarming decrease year on year between 2018 and 2020, after having experienced some gains between 2015 and 2018. The table shows us the percentage change in tithe over the period under review. Let us look at the tithe patterns per conference. The Cape Conference started positively but declined in 2016, increasing up to 2019 and dropping in 2020. The KwaZulu-Natal Free State Conference also started positively, but showed a decline from 2017 to 2019, with a slight increase in 2020 due to audit adjustments. The Lesotho Conference steadily increased up to 2018, followed by a decrease in 2019 and 2020. The Northern Conference of South Africa likewise started positively in 2016, declined in 2017, and reflected a sharp increase in 2019 due to audit adjustments. However, 2020 showed a decline. The church in Namibia was divided into two conferences in 2016. However, from 2017 to 2019, the North Namibia Conference showed a steady increase, reversing the trend in 2020. The South Namibia Conference shows a decline in 2017 with a slight increase in 2018, followed by a decrease in 2019. 2020 shows an increase due to an audit adjustment. The Trans-Orange Conference shows growth from 2016 to 2017 and a decline from 2018 to 2020. The Eswatini Conference's income has held steady up to 2018, followed by a decrease from 2019 to 2020. These reports reflect the impact of COVID-19. However, despite the pandemic, God's blessings are still evident in His church. A sobering factor is that only approximately 30% of the membership is faithful in returning tithe. Of the gross tithe, 68.5% is retained by the local conference and 31.5% is forwarded to the SAU. This is distributed as follows. 7% is passed on to the SID. 10% operates the SAU and its departments. 0.5% is used for evangelistic projects in the conferences and churches. 6.25% funds the retirees' medical aid. 1.5% supports the VOP, with 5% subsidizing Heidelberg College. The 0.25% that remains goes to SEDMED as medical aid top-up. In 2016, the balance of cash and investments was 232 million Rand, representing 41.4% increase from the start of the previous 5 years. At the end of 2020, this figure increased by 50% to 349 million Rand. Total liabilities increased by 108% to 37 million Rand. And total net assets increased by 45.2% to 312 million Rand for the same period. 66.7% and 74.7% of total assets and net assets, respectively, were held in the form of cash and investments. Accounts receivable, representing 22% of our current assets, is unhealthy due to some organizations not honoring their payment plans. The total operating income averaged 100 million rand annually. 43.2% was from tithe, 19.9% from offerings, 16.6% from investment income, and 20.3% from other operating income, with tithe being the primary source of earned income. While there was a steady increase, a decline is evident in 2020, primarily due to COVID-19. The total expenses for the quinquennium averaged 76 million rand. The total operating income and expenses are depicted in the graph above. The SAU has managed to reflect a surplus through cost containment and strict budget control. At the close of 2020, the Southern Africa Union Conference showed 137.42% working capital and 109.31% in liquidity. Working capital is your current assets, less current liabilities, and the cash you have to run day-to-day operations. It means that you can cover your running costs, and the organization can pay its expenses and remain afloat in the event of unforeseen costs. The high receivables from sub-organizations impact the union's working capital. Church policy prescribes that recommended working capital be 100%. Over the past 5 years, we have maintained this level. Our liquidity has also remained above 100%, except for 2018, where we recorded a 95% liquidity. If liquidity remains above 100%, it means that if the organization was liquidated, it could cover its long and short-term liabilities. Therefore, our current position is healthy. In 2015, we reported that we were still owing 7,074,289 rand on the pension loan from the General Conference that was taken to prop up the pension fund. I am happy to report that we settled the loan to the GC in September 2018. Looking at investments, the pie chart shows the profile of nominal capital, which is mainly term deposits with local commercial banks, as reflected in the December 2020 audited financial statements. There are two long-term investments, the pension fund and the retirees' medical aid fund. The SAU investment profile is prescribed by surplus funds, which are restricted and held in trust. This dictates the terms of investments based on liquidity needs and the owners of the funds, guided by the SID investment policy S90-20. After experiencing a financial downturn in 2020, the last 2 years reflect a rebound. This is not for us to return to business as usual, but to allow breathing room to engage in strategic thinking about how best to use God's resources. The turnaround inspires us to continue being faithful stewards. At the end of 2021, the balance of cash and investments was 267 million rand, a 15% increase from 2020. Total current assets increased by 8% to 360 million rand, while total liabilities decreased by 44% to 21 million rand. Total net assets increased by 13% to 352 million rand for the same period. At the end of 2021, 71.5% and 75.7% of total assets and net assets respectively were held in the form of cash and investments. The total revenues and gains for 2021 were 108 million rand, a 20% increase from 2020. Of this, 83.6% was from tithe, 1.4% from offerings, 13.6% from investment returns, and 1.4% from other operating income. The total operating expenses for 2021 were 60 million rand, and of which 41.7% was for employee-related expenses, 6.2% for travel expenses, 7.5% for admin and general expenses, 4.8% for plant expenses, and 39.7% were for appropriations. Assistance and counsel were given in working with the conferences and other sub-organizations. In addition, training programs such as Internal Control Seminar were organized to assist in better preparation for audits and improve the overall audit opinions. The General Conferencing Auditing Service, an independent audit agency of the Church, is tasked to audit the SAU. In the past 5 years, successive audit committees constituted of professional SDA non-church employees as per SID policy S34 were involved in reviewing the organization's audit results and the subsequent management's responses to ensure internal control, accountability, and transparency. As a result, the union recently received a qualified audit opinion, mainly because of the sub-organization's balances feeding into our financial statements. Additionally, unidentified deposits at conference level have also affected our income. The SAU continues to receive adjustments from conferences long after the year end, resulting in the SAU receiving audit adjustments on trust funds not remitted to the higher organization. Mr. Kudzai Masuka will share the recent 2020 audit report, which has been presented to the Audit Review Committee and the Executive Committee.
Managing the finances of the union during this challenging quinquennium was a huge and daunting responsibility. Thus, I need to express my gratitude to God for His strength and guidance to be able to fulfill my duties. I appreciate the support, assistance, leadership, and counsel from the SID CFO and officers. My fellow SAU executive officers, Dr. Dave Spencer and Pastor Trevor Kunene, for their leadership, support, and friendship, along with Mr. Mkolisi Ngube, Associate Executive Secretary. To Mr. Eric Odendal, the former CFO, mentored me. His input and growth of the SAU will forever be appreciated. Thank you, SAU Treasury team, for your commitment and loyalty. Appreciation is expressed to the conference financial officers and their teams from the local church to the conference. I also want to thank the directors and staff of the SAU. It was a privilege to serve with you in God's vineyard. A very special thank you to my husband, my 2 children, and the wider family for their support and understanding, especially during the long hours I spent at the office, including many weekends away from home.
Mr. Chairman, this is the 6th regular business session of the Seventh-day Adventist Church Southern Africa Union Conference for transacting church business in the territory of our union. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I remember the words recorded from the book of 1 Samuel chapter 7 verse 12. Then Samuel took a rock and set it up between Mizpah and Shen. He named it Ebenezer, a rock of help, and said, and until now the Lord has helped us. Yes, indeed, Mr. Chairman. Until now, as I'm speaking now before the house, the Lord has helped us. Towards the end of 2019, we started experiencing what we never saw in life, that we were told that is a COVID-19. Then later we were told that is a COVID-19 pandemic. That was so disruptive and destroying. I'm telling you, Mr. Chairman, many died. Some of us were infected by it, but through God who helped us, we were saved from the terrible hand of COVID-19. Yes, we are here, Mr. Chairman, because we were protected. And many of our members indeed were protected when some indeed died. Churches were closed down, everything was shut down. We were limited to move into our houses. We were not driving anywhere. We were just stuck in our homes. But we thank God that up to now, until this far, God has helped us. God has been with us. And thus today, Mr. Chairman, it is appropriate for us to remind ourselves with the words once uttered by Ellen White as follows: we have nothing to fear for the future, except as we shall forget the way the Lord has led us in His teachings in our past history. Life Sketches of Ellen G. White, page 196. Thus, Mr. Chairman, today we are ready to present our report to the House, the Secretariat report, how the church has performed, how the local churches have performed, the pastors have performed, and thus today we have a report amiss, regardless of the situation that we have experienced.
In this quinquennium, God has increased the GC membership to 21,723,992 in respect of the entire world church. By the end of December 2021, the Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division membership stood at more than 4.2 million baptized members. In the Southern Africa Union Conference, the SAU, the church has increased its membership from 164,707 in December 2015 to 188,181 at the close of December 2021, despite the severe restrictions that came as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, where churches were closed from the announcement of the hard level 5 lockdown in March 2020. To date, some churches are still closed and some members are attending virtual church services. The membership growth is attributed to mission using total member involvement (TMI) as the vehicle, and the baptisms were as a result gained by the laborers in God's vineyard. During the Gauteng 2018 Sharing Hope and Healing, the Northern Conference, the Trans-Orange Conference, the SAU and the SID collaborated on this mission to the cities as to reach out to the people of Gauteng through the evangelistic program held by the churches and members, including the evangelistic and assisted by the pastoral leadership from neighboring countries. The church growth for the current quinquennium resulted in 23,474 new members. The percentage growth realized is 12.47% at the end of 2021. We thank God for His grace and care towards His church during this time of COVID-19 pandemic and other circumstances to see such a growth. The graphic illustrations give us an indication to elaborate the direction we are leaning towards and also show a steady growth in total membership year on year from the beginning of the quinquennium. The increase in membership recorded from the conferences is as follows. Cape Conference opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 41,643 members, and in December 2021 there were 43,362 members. KwaZulu-Natal Free State Conference opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 18,789 members, and in December 2021 there were 19,767 members. Lesotho Conference opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 8,926 members, and in December 2021 there were 10,842 members. Namibia Conference opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 198,889 members, and in December 2021 there were 24,941 members. The two conferences were formed by realigning through the splitting of the Namibia Conference in 2016. The newly named conferences are as follows. Namibia North Conference opened with a membership of 15,042 as at December 2016, and in December 2021 there were 18,377 members. Namibia South Conference opened with a membership of 5,806 members as at December 2016, and in December 2021 there were 6,564 members. Northern Conference opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 18,914 members, and in December 2021 there were 21,870 members. Swaziland, now known as Eswatini Conference, opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 7,903 members, and in December 2021 there were 9,434 members. Trans-Orange Conference opened the past quinquennium as at December 2015 with 48,643 members, and in December 2021 there were 57,965 members. We began the quinquennium with 7 conferences, and we are pleased to say that we closed the quinquennium with 8 conferences, with Namibia Conference becoming 2 conferences. In the Southern Africa Union Conference, SAU, we are equipped with archives containing all information of the encompassing the history of the organization, including our Secretariat, Treasury, SEDMED, SETCOM, and Pensions Department.
The Adventist Church Management System, ACMS, is an online platform whereby churches, conferences, and even the union uses to record its membership. This online platform uses a high security protocol to ensure the integrity of all the records that we keep as Secretariat. In the past quinquennium, the Secretariat Office has conducted various trainings to the conferences, even the local churches, to ensure that these people who are doing the work on the ground are fully equipped. We have trained church elders, we have trained church clerks, we have even trained conference officers and board members in their board meetings. We also go as far as to train them in their executive committee meetings to ensure that the leadership is well equipped to do the work at hand. In the Secretariat Office, we have an integral part, which is the Human Resource Office. In this office, we collect information relating to all our workers in the field and in the office, from the pastor in the local church right up until the administrator, even in the union. Our responsibility is to ensure that in their diverseness, we are able to ensure that they are supported and catered for while they are working. We have different categories, from ministerial credentials right up down to a missionary license. In all of these categories, we ensure that they are supported in their working environment.
The Southern Africa Union Conference, SAU, has achieved the following during the last quinquennium. One conference, Namibia Conference, is split into 2, Namibia South Conference and Namibia North Conference. 2 SAU working policy books were updated, and the SAU Employees Handbook was updated as well. We thank all the church members and praise God for all the work that has been done in the Southern Africa Union Conference. God bless you.
Amen. Glory and honor goes to the Almighty God for His benefits and blessings towards the children of men. Gratitude is sincerely expressed to my co-administrators, departmental directors, secretaries, accountants, departmental office administrators, and SAU support staff. I extend my very special appreciation to the Secretariat and the HR team, Mr. Nkolisi Ngube, Mrs. Vena Titus, Mrs. Cherry Nigri, Mrs. Juanita Zitman, Mrs. Lefuno Tamai, and Mr. Eric Botha. My special appreciation and thanks goes to the higher organization, especially the SID Secretariat, Pastor Gideon Reneke and the team, and our conferences and institutions who enable our secretariat work to be manageable. Hence, we say Jesus is coming again. Get involved. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the right time, proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9.
So we have caught up with our newly elected CFO for the SAU, Brother Tony Nierang, right? Did I say that correctly?
That's correct. This is the S at the end, Tony Nierings.
Tony Nierings. All right, I apologize. I'm sorry. Yes. We firstly want to congratulate you and pray that the Lord will be with you and your family as you are going to be beginning this new work. What message do you have to the SAU members?
Thank you so much for the welcoming from the constituency. I think it's a very big honor and privilege to be able to serve in the financial department on behalf of this union in South Africa. I think there's so much potential that we can do for mission work as a corporate body, and I believe the Holy Spirit is driving everything that the Lord is trying to accomplish in this end of the world's history that we are living in. And so I feel overwhelmed, I feel excited, I feel that the Lord is moving, and I'm blessed to be part of this movement. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and please go and have some rest. There's a lot of work that's ahead of you.
Appreciate it, I will do. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I'm standing here with our newly elected executive secretary of the SAU. Wait first, can you still be my boss?
Yes. We can work something out.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that. But yes, Pastor Mandla Lupondwana, what message, I know it's fresh, it's new, it's late at night, but still, what message do you have to our SAU members out there?
Well, as much as from time to time we change leadership in the church, ultimately God is in charge of the church. So we're simply changing faces that are in office, but we're not changing the leadership of the church. The head of the church is still Christ, and that has not changed. And so all I would say is let's just work together to achieve God's mission. It's not ours, it's His, and He will lead us. All He wants is for us to humble ourselves and decide to follow His lead.
We've managed to catch up with our newly elected president of the SAU. How are you feeling?
Not excited, but I'm happy that I have been chosen, and I will do my best. You know, it's not easy to be president. That's why I'm saying I'm not excited, but I know that the Lord will take care of me.
Yes. Are you ready to move to Bloemfontein?
Definitely. This is the best place.
Are you sure with the cold? You've experienced the cold this week?
I love it here because it's cold at night but beautiful during the day. And my wife loves it, by the way.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Yes. What message, 1 minute, do you want to just give to our members in the SAU?
All I can say is we need to refocus, we need to re-energize ourselves and the work. We need to re-strategize, of course, but we need to action whatever we do.
Congratulations. May the Lord continue to be with you and the family in your ministry.
Thank you so much.
All right. We've caught up with one of the pastors from the TOC, right?
Yes.
Your president is moving from Gauteng here to the Free State. How does that make you feel?
I'm feeling sad, honestly speaking. He was our father, one of the best. To find out that now he had to come to Bloemfontein, I'm sure people are not happy, but what can we say? If the Lord said go, you go.
What do you want to say to him?
I would like to say to him, look, he has done exceptional well in the TLC for the past 2 terms, and I'm wishing him the best. But I can guarantee you the SAU is in good hands, having a leader, a president of that nature.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Gentlemen, I present to you the team behind the camera and all the incredible work they've been doing to make sure that everything that was happening here is spread to the rest of the South African Union Conference and even those abroad and all over the world. Thank you for joining us. Good night.